the last few years, I've stopped flying directly to Ghana if I go in December, and actually go indirectly, and I have another holiday beforehand. So I've gone to South Africa, done South Africa enjoyment, then gone from South Africa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Sound of Accra Podcast. I go by the name of Adrian Daniels. If this is your first time listening, we chat with top Ghanaian founders, entrepreneurs, and creatives with the aim of leaving you behind with meaningful takeaways to apply in life, business, and your career. Just before I introduce today's guest, just need to get some housekeeping out the way. So for today's show notes, I want you to head over to thesoundofaccra.com/talking drums. That's thesoundofaccra.com/talking drums. If you're watching YouTube, please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're on the Spotify platforms or Apple platforms or Google podcast platforms, wherever you listen to podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. It's very much appreciated. Let us know what you think, and please do subscribe. And yeah, that lets us know that we're making good content. Okay, so I just want to welcome Yaa back into the show. Yaa Ofori-Ansah. How are you doing?
Good, thank you, Adrian. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. No problem. So just to recap, guys, Yaa is the founder of Talking Drums, which is a platform which aims to help people to explore Africa and travel Africa. I don't know if you want to just give a little bit more of a reintroduction into what Talking Drums do.
Thank you, Adrian. So that was a great intro. So yes, I'm the founder of Talking Drums, which is an Africa-focused sustainable travel platform and marketplace.
Yeah.
And it's designed to encourage people to come together and to travel Africa, and to do so with having a positive impact. So we focus on working with local businesses and local entrepreneurs and local communities, just to ensure that they're actually benefiting from our tourism.
Okay, great. So I like the way how you incorporate local tourism and giving back to local businesses with your travel platform. I think it's just really important, especially in this day and age where monopolies such as Amazon are just taking over, and you have to support your brother or your sister. You have to support the local businesses, because they're the ones that keep, they're the ones that keep everything going, the world going. You understand? So
and they're the best ambassadors for their places. They can take you off the beaten track, help you explore things that you might not have come across if you didn't ask or didn't engage with local people. And I just find that the best experiences I've had have been through local businesses, local entrepreneurs, or just local people that I've struck up conversation with, and they've just given me the most amazing insights into their homes. So I just think there's so much power in that.
Oh, it's wonderful. Just to remind you guys, if you guys may remember Yaa from season 3. We had a great episode talking about a bit more detail about who she is, her background, Talking Drums, and some of the trips that she's done, such as Tanzania and Zanzibar. We'll leave a link in the description so you guys can go back and check that out. In this podcast, we're going to focus more on how you guys can travel and explore Ghana, and how you can kind of approach travel and Africa as a whole, perhaps. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think travel is definitely back with a vengeance. We've got the World Cup coming up. I think people have been locked up for too long. Planes are taking off again. Flights are getting crazy again in terms of prices. You've had festivals going on. I mean, travel's pretty much back since 2019. And do you feel like this could be the year return part 2? This year, because this is the first year there's no necessarily COVID restrictions necessarily stopping people from coming, or maybe forcing people to take the jab or whatever it is. Do you feel like this may be the year return part 2 when it comes to Ghana?
So I'd say that in 2019, when the year of return was taking place, Ghana saw unprecedented interest in the country in terms of tourism. So there was according to the Ministry of Tourism, an estimated 1.1 billion tourists visited Ghana in 2019. They estimated they generated about £1.5 billion, which is about $1.9 billion those times. And so now, to your point, they launched both Beyond the Return, which was at the beginning of 2019, and then now, in addition to Beyond the Return, there is the Destination Ghana campaign. So all of these campaigns are really flying the flag for tourism in Ghana and really marketing Ghana as a tourism destination, as one of the premier tourism destinations. And so I really think that this year, to your point, there's going to be a lot of interest, particularly around December in Ghana. There have been lots of activities already announced. Afrochella, which takes place every December. Afro Nation will be returning in Ghana for the first time since 2019. They actually have a memorandum of understanding with the British High Commission in Ghana to host this event. I think it's a 5-year agreement. So for the last couple of years, they weren't able to do so. So that will be returning. And then there's also a new festival that has been announced, taking place in January by Vic Mensa and Chance the Rapper, called Black Star Line event. So festivals galore. And then who could forget, the recent
Global Citizen
concert festival that took place with Usher as a headliner. I mean, absolutely incredible.
A whole Usher. A whole Usher Raymond.
So incredible. The Usher Raymond. So I think what makes me really excited about this is that in addition to promoting tourism, we're really promoting culture. So I was really pleased to see that with Afrochella, they've expanded to 2 days, but one of the headliners is Stonebwoy, is Ghana's very own Stonebwoy, in addition to the other headliner being Burna Boy. So I think what's really important and what's great to see is that our culture's being promoted as part of the tourism campaign.
Fantastic. Lots of boys as well performing, which is great, right? It's just really exciting times ahead for Afro-tourism and, the festive period coming up as well. Before we talk about travel in Ghana and, what Talking Drums has got coming up, let's talk about what first-timers should expect when they go to Ghana and just maybe tips for people who are like traveling to Ghana. Maybe they're from London to Accra, for example. What should they really be preparing for in terms of like putting their suitcase, or just what kind of mindset do they need before they enter the country in its own?
Great question.
So some quick tips. Yeah.
So first thing, have an open mind. I'd say that for any place you go to, have an open mind. That's the beauty of travel. Have a blank canvas and just go and to kind of take everything in as it comes. I would say beforehand, make sure you've prepared. So I usually, when I'm traveling, I will check on the equivalent Foreign Office's website. So for the UK, it's the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. They'll give you all the details you need for entry requirements. If you're in America, it's the State Department. And depending on your country, they'll have an equivalent. But they'll give you all the insights. So for Ghana, usually depending on your passport, you might need a visa. If you do need a visa, make sure you give yourself enough time in terms of applying for the visa.
These embassies. Oh man.
Give yourself enough time. Give yourself enough time because it's a process. And obviously for people wanting to go into December, in December there's going to be more interest, which then means that there'll be an increase in applications, so an increase in lead time. So just give yourself more time. As I always say, get travel insurance. That is just you must get travel insurance anywhere you go. It's so important. And make sure you read the policy so you have sufficient coverage. Obviously, make sure you buy your ticket. If you're going from the UK, as we know, British Airways has the monopoly. But consider other airlines. Some people don't like indirect, but some of those December prices
would force you to take some back alley routes. You'll be somewhere in Ethiopia somewhere.
I wouldn't mind. But do you know what as well?
Ethiopia,
what I like about that is that you actually get 2 vacations in one. So I've actually, the last few years, I've stopped flying directly to Ghana if I go in December, and actually go indirectly, and I have another holiday beforehand. So I've gone to South Africa, done South Africa enjoyment, then gone from South Africa to Ghana.
Money's working really hard.
Similarly, I've gone to Kenya, enjoyed Kenya, then gone to Ghana, and the flight has been cheaper, but I've had 2 holidays in one. So,
There we go. Yeah, I mean, it's not, I guess BA, maybe it's a blessing that BA is expensive. expensive after all, or what have you.
I think I think that we should be open to other airlines, especially African airlines. So Ethiopian Airlines, which is one of my favorites.
Wow.
Kenya Airlines. Actually, once I flew with Kenya Airlines, and both the pilot and the first officer were both women, and I was just in awe.
Yeah, there's a few stories about like female pilots, flying the flag for Africa. It's really impressive to see that.
Absolutely.
Really
So definitely open mind. And then one of the most important things is sorting out your accommodation.
Yeah.
So especially if you're staying in Accra, you
shout out to Live in Ghana. If you want
shout out to Live in Ghana. I was going to say the same thing.
Live in Ghana. I see you. Book.
So Live in Ghana are
ID Properties as well. Check them out as well.
A property sourcing company. I also have to give a shout out to my wonderful friends at On Point Property Management. So there are quite a few companies who help you source properties for your travels. And then there are other things like going on booking.com. Usually that will be hotels, etc., or Airbnb. But I think the key thing is to book in advance, because they're going to get booked up. The prices are going to change the more they get booked up.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a very good tips. I couldn't have done it any better.
Honam Naturals Organic Vegan Skincare. An advanced botanical blend. Regenerate your skin with long-lasting moisture. Shop now at honamnaturals.com.
Okay, so they've landed in Ghana. They've touched. They've got out of the plane. That tropical heat hits them, and then they're ready to explore the country. What are some must-dos and must-sees in Accra? Talk to me, Yaa.
Good question. I forgot to add, actually.
Go on.
If you're staying in a hotel, request that they help you with airport pickup. And if you're staying in Airbnb or whatever, ask them to also help you. That would just make life easier. So that when you land, there'll be someone waiting for you to pick you up. Ghana does have ride sharing like Bolt and Airbnb, but I just believe when you first land, just to make life easier, just get someone to pick you up, and then you can figure everything out once you've arrived and you've settled. So day one in Accra, what do you do? I usually recommend that people begin with the sights and sounds of Accra. So no pun intended, but or was it? But I really, really think there's so much.
I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
We should do a tourism show, the sights and sounds.
Absolutely, the sights and sounds of Accra. I could hear the horns already.
We'll talk about the episode.
Yeah. But I just feel like there's so much there's so much benefit to starting in Central Accra. So I'm thinking the art centre. Now people laugh at me when I say this, but there's the actual art centre itself where you can buy lots of goodies and souvenirs and paintings and cloth, kente cloth, etc.
Yeah.
But on the outskirts of the actual grounds, they have like kind of entrepreneurs who are actually making a lot of the products. But also some of them will do like impromptu drumming lessons and stuff like that. So it's really I just like the vibe there. It's just a really nice vibe where you might see the artists actually painting their work as well. On that same road, you also, depending on what direction you're facing the art centre, but in one direction you have the famous Independence Square, so you have the Black Star Arch, which I'm sure if you Google it, you'll know what I'm speaking of. It's a landmark in Ghana. You've arrived when you've seen it. And also Independence Square, that's where the Independence Day celebrations take place. Yeah. And actually that's where Global Citizen hosted the festival.
There's a Black Star, it's not Black Star Square, is it?
Black Star Square, yeah.
Yeah,
what
that's
did I
it.
say?
Okay.
Yeah. And then in the opposite direction, you have Kwame Nkrumah National Park, which also has a museum inside it as well, very historical place. And then not too far from there, you have the famous Makala Market, not for the faint-hearted, but it's one of the, if not the biggest open air market in West Africa is my understanding, and you can buy any and everything there. So it's really a hub, it's a buzz, not for the faint-hearted. You may want to go with someone, but you can cover a lot of ground in Ghana just in that space as an intro to Ghana. And actually also a stone's throw is the stadium as well. So that I would do that on day one, like to explore.
Okay, great. Okay, and then what about some must-dos and must-sees outside? What if they want to escape Accra? Because everything's not just about Accra.
Everything's not just about Accra.
Yeah. What would you recommend in Northern region, Volta region, some of those regions?
Where do I begin?
Yeah.
So before you escape Accra, you might want to explore some restaurants around Osu, perhaps Labone. There's lots of new restaurants popping up, but also established places. But I personally like Oxford Street because if you go off some of the side roads, you can actually get fresh kenke made kind of like locally. So you have maybe some like kiosks that are selling it, and it's just so fresh and just so nice. These are the kind of things I just love. Yeah. But also there are, really beautiful restaurants that are springing up. I think the kind of restaurant industry is really kind of taking off. We went to Booker, didn't we? That was beautiful. Was that so nice?
We should do it again.
Yeah, totally. I really enjoyed the food there. And so day trip outside of Accra, I'll start with. So if you're kind of just, put the feelers out there, kind of just want to see what life might be like, I would say visit the Eastern region, which is where I'm from. So you could take a taxi, a negotiated taxi, always negotiate your prices, and head to the Abri Botanical Gardens. And I think the views of Accra from Abri, because Abri is quite mountainous, I think the views are absolutely stunning. But similarly, if you want to go a bit further, you could also go to Ofori-Ansah, which is just... Every time I say Ofori-Ansah, people are like, Ofori-Ansah flowers. I'm like, okay. But yeah, it is stunning. It's so beautiful. It's really green. It's calm. And I remember just going there. I was like, I could live here.
I need to check that out, yeah.
I say that about a lot of places I go to, but I was like, yeah, I could live here. But I just remember it being so beautiful and green. And then I went to the Ofori-Ansah bead market, which was just an incredible place. You just have stalls upon stalls of beads upon beads and generations of bead sellers. And there was a man called Alhaji Mohammed Garbra, and he is from multiple generations of bead sellers. And he was showing me beads from like the 15th century. Whoa. It was just incredible. Like I had such an incredible history lesson, and I have to go back and spend more time there. But I just thought it was a really beautiful place. So yeah, day trip outside of Accra, I'd say head to Abri for some cool air and a escape from the buzz of the capital.
I love that. Yeah, that's a good shout. I mean, we did that, isn't it?
Yeah,
we absolutely
really
did that. That was wonderful. Yeah, great. So people know where they can go in Accra, where they can go in Ghana, outside of Accra. What are some pitfalls for tourists? I mean, just name a couple of them for those traveling within Accra and Ghana.
So I would say do negotiate. I think one thing I find that's maybe a bit trickier about traveling in Ghana sometimes is transportation. So if you can get a reliable means of transportation, such as a reliable driver, like that's the game changer. Transportation can be quite tricky in terms of maybe like navigating a particular place, but there is ride sharing. There are taxis as well, both inside and outside of ride sharing apps. You can also take internal flights, especially if you've got a short period of time that you're spending there. So, for example, I went to Kumasi and flew from Accra to Kumasi. That was about 45 minutes, maybe less actually. No, I think it was less, maybe like half an hour. And then landed and stayed in this incredible place called Ike's Cultural Village. Wow. Absolutely wow. Owned by a Ghanaian lady or Ghanaian family, and she's been interviewed actually by Wadamaya, and that's how I first found out about Ike's Cultural Village. And they also have Ike's Cafe right next to it, which is a famous restaurant. Incredible. They have their own tilapia pool.
Can't wait.
And it's just like, it's just incredible. You can pick the tilapia you want to eat. And it's just, just amazing food, amazing vibes. And then the hotel is like a boutique hotel. It's the decor is just absolutely stunning. And they also helped me organise a driver in Kumasi who took me around.
Amazing.
And we went to Bonye, Kente village, where Kente is said to have come from. And I had an amazing history lesson there as well. So you're seeing a theme here, But sometimes if you don't necessarily have the time, you can, fly somewhere. I think if you take the coach to Kumasi, I think it's about 3 hours maybe.
Yeah, it's a few hours.
If you don't necessarily have the time, you can fly. It's about half an hour.
Okay, some decent options, very good options. I want to quickly double tap on transport because you mentioned transport is probably one of the country's weaknesses. I mean, as in it could be better. Okay, cool. What things? Give me maybe one or two things that you feel like could be better to improve the infrastructure in Ghana to make tourism more attractive within a country.
I think for myself as a tourist,
Yeah.
if I see somewhere that I want to go,
Yeah.
I want to be able to get there. So accessibility, it just comes down to accessibility, doesn't it? So if you have a variety of means of transport, that can open up accessibility. So if you have trains in addition to driving...
Good point.
That's one option, for example, because not everyone's going to be able to afford flights, or maybe not everyone wants to even go by air. Some people like to go by road. Slow traveling is something where you just kind of take your time. You know, you're not always necessarily having to rush to the next destination. And especially if it's somewhere you've been to first, for your first time, you might want to explore it a bit more by kind of just taking your time. So having different options. And if you're not necessarily having options, I think having the information readily available. So for my trip to Koforidua, I always laugh about it because I couldn't find where to pick up the bus from. And there's a few bus stations in Accra. So if I hadn't got the information, I would have gone to Circle. Because I know that when you need a coach, you go to Circle.
Yeah.
But I checked with my friend who checked with a friend, and then they fed back
stations.
that I had to go and get it from Medina bus station.
Yeah.
So just that information, maybe being in a central place and having an idea of both where to get transport from and how much it costs really does open things up, because a lot of people will be traveling by themselves.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah, this has been a very good conversation, very informative for the listeners as well, who maybe are traveling to Ghana for the first time or haven't been in a while. So I guess people can do their own research. They could, look all of these things up. But you clearly have a lot of knowledge. So what does Talking Drums have coming up in terms of trips, and how can they get in touch with you in terms of if they wanted to kind of like let you plan all of the hard work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with Talking Drums, we have a variety of offerings. Part of that includes group travel trips. So we organise trips for people and we go as a group, and we want you to really just get to know each other and have a fully immersive experience. And for example, with our trips to Ghana, we spend time in Accra, but we also escape the capital. We go to Tamale, where the material that I'm wearing is from. And that's the home of shea butter. We'll go and explore these areas and these industries. I mentioned a few places earlier. Also, the Volta region, which is one of my favourites. So beautiful, so green. So we coordinate everything. We travel together. But similarly, if you want to travel by yourself, we can help you plan it as well. So we offer a travel planning service as well. So all information is on the website. But the key thing I'd say is that Accra is the gateway. So start in Accra, but as much as you can, try and explore outside of it.
I love that. Perfect. So what trips does Talking Drums have coming up?
So we, of course, have to be going to Ghana in December. So Ghana in December coming up. And then early next year, we also have South Africa and Tanzania. And then towards the later part of the year, we'll be adding other destinations onto our repertoire also.
It's exciting.
Really excited for it.
Exciting. Yeah. So it sounds like you got some big plans for the future.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, stay tuned into the space, guys. You're going to find out what Yaa's got coming up in terms of the future of Talking Drums. Yaa, thank you so much. Where can everyone find you?
So you can find me on www.talkingdrumstravel.com. Also on Instagram at Talking Drums Travel, and also on our newly established YouTube channel, Talking Drums. Thank you. So I'm really excited. We have this amazing visual portrait, which was filmed by a videographer from Tanzania, and it's filmed at this beautiful waterfall that's actually in someone's back garden. And again, it's somewhere that, imagine having a waterfall in your back garden, but it's filmed in a place that it's a hidden gem, that, again, to my earlier point, that someone from the local community kind of shared with us. So check that out on our YouTube channel. And then we're also on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
Also Talking Drums on LinkedIn.
For the professionals.
Yeah.
Now, this has been very valuable information. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here on my third third appearance on the Sound of Accra podcast.
And there'll be many more in Jesus' name.
Absolutely, amen.
Yeah. So there you have it, guys. Yaa Ofori-Ansah, founder and CEO of Talking Drums Travel. So that's all of the links that she's mentioned where you can go and find her. We'll have in the show notes also the waterfall shot that she just described, so you guys can go and check that out. And we'll have her previous episodes that she's appeared on and all of the links and references and key mentions from this episode. So once again, head over to the soundofaccra.com/talking drums. That's the soundofaccra.com/talking drums for all of the links and key references from today's show. And once again, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe, leave a comment, please hit the like button, and then if you're in the podcast players, please give us a 5-star review. I'm Adrian Daniels. You are
Yaa Ofori-Ansah.
And thank you for listening to the Sound of Accra podcast. I will see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much. Take care.